Amanda is a single mother employed full-time. Hours when a cab driver encountered an elderly individual. A man fainted on the street and was hurried away. Him to the hospital about an hour later. A parked ambulance was waiting for her. Medical professionals and emergency responders outside her residence, apparently awaiting her. Unbeknownst to her, recognized that her modest gesture of benevolence would revolutionize her existence and her son's prospects in manners she never envisioned. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Revealed Narratives. Today, I have another poignant narrative to share. Thank you for sharing. Have a pleasant evening. Amanda remarked with a warm smile as the passenger expressed gratitude by providing a tip. The old passenger responded softly. His hand quivered a little when he exited through the door and walked a little distance. Amanda observed the wobbly steps retreating. The door closed abruptly behind him. A gentle thump accompanied by a faint sigh. She experienced relief after completing another bike. Observed the wrinkled currency in her grasp, and promptly enumerated them. A contented individual. A smile illuminated her face as she meticulously folded the currency and secured it inside her handbag. With this gratuity, her week of the saving process was ultimately completed. Nevertheless, it was not. It was specifically for Liam's money. His 10-year-old son's birthday was tomorrow, and he had been longing to commemorate it at the amusement park. Amanda had assured him that this year she would achieve her goals as a single mother. Amanda labored diligently to provide for her kid the childhood he was entitled to. Each journey she undertook, every gratuity she accumulated, it had not been simple for him to save sufficient for the park admissions, the present, and the party had consumed her entirely. The week. But tomorrow she would finally observe Liam's face glowing with joy. Exerting every effort, Amanda experienced a fleeting moment of tranquility, contentment as she inserted the gratuity into her pocketbook, envisioning her son's joy the following day. As Amanda repositioned her seat and poised to avert her gaze, redirected her heart to the rearview mirror, the elderly guy she had caused a momentary disruption was no longer ambulating after being dropped off. He lay on the ground, holding his delicate hand. He raised his hand feebly, as if indicating a need for assistance. She turned without a moment's hesitation. She switched off the engine and unlatched the door. Hurried to his side. His respiration was his face was pallid, and his physique was emaciated. Appeared unnatural. Amanda swiftly extracted her phone, dialed 911 and reached the operator, notifying her that an ambulance would arrive in around 10 to 15 minutes. While observing the man's fragile physique, she realized time was limited. The hospital was hardly a few minutes distant. Recognizing that there was no time to waste, Amanda resolved to assume control of the situation. Stabilizing herself with her own hands, she assisted the man into a seated position despite his weakened state. He relied on her support for assistance as she directed him back to the taxi. Once he had settled in the rear, Amanda hurried to the hospital to seat a man. Her hands clutched the steering wheel firmly as she hoped she had not arrived too late. Amanda arrived at the hospital's emergency department and rushed to assist the old man, leaning forcefully on the automobile as they proceeded indoors. Accompanied by nurses, promptly stepped forward to assist him into a wheelchair. A physician joined them, swiftly evaluating the man's circumstances surrounding the occurrence. Of one of the nurses inquired, "As I discovered him fainting on the," Amanda explained breathlessly, "on the street. Was ambulating adequately before. But then the nurses nodded as they wheeled the collapsed structure. Man walking to the treatment area." Amanda remained motionless for a time, observing as they vanished behind the swinging door. She exhaled tremulously through the double doors, her heart to ensure his timely arrival in the present. Amanda finally arrived at the tranquil reception area. Permitted herself to sit down, she inclined, reclining in the rigid plastic chair. Fatigue permeating her body, the events of the night transpired. She scarcely had time to comprehend them. A nurse approached her shortly thereafter. Subsequently, with clipboard in hand, I said, "Hello. Are you the one?" The individual who introduced the gentleman, Amanda, responded while adjusting herself appropriately. The nurse stated that the status is steady. A comforting grin signifies insignificance. Potentially fatal fatigue coupled with hypotension. She briefly surveyed her clipboard, however. He requires some quick basic treatment. Tests and medication to facilitate his recovery following a little break. She continued. Regrettably, he appears to lack anyone accompanying him to manage the expenses. Would you be willing to assist? It is not a substantial quantity, nevertheless. We must advance. Amanda's breath was abruptly interrupted. Her hand instinctively moved to her throat. Her purse containing the week's savings. Liam was the recipient of the beautifully wrapped money. The gift of amusement park tickets and the modest party she had assured. She could already envision his visage, glowing with delight. His laughter as he investigated the rides and attractions. She gazed at her purse's fingers hovering above the clasp. It seemed as though the weight of the entire earth was bearing down. Discouraged by her circumstances, however, her intellect suddenly illuminated. Returning to the elderly man's fragile physique, the manner in which he had elevated his quivering hand for Amanda briefly closed her eyes. An inhalation, and the nurse smiled as I nodded in agreement to assist. Thank you, I will ensure it is done. All matters are addressed promptly. Amanda relinquished the money. Her heart burdened. However, she resolutely reminded herself that this was the appropriate course of action for someone. Health and safety were prioritized above all else. Individual day of commemoration. As the nurse, Amanda reclined as she went away. Chair, gazing vacantly at the floor. A knot of remorse and sorrow entwined within her, anxiety in her stomach as she contemplated the following day. How would she inform Liam that the amusement park was no longer a viable choice? She said that was all the money she had. The effort she expended to save was lost. Out her phone and navigated across it. Among the old photographs of Liam, there is one particular image. Captured last year on his birthday, demonstrated him grasping a cupcake adorned with a solitary flame. His smile radiates more brightly than a candle. Any party decorations could ever. Amanda's lips formed a subtle smile. Perhaps she was unable to provide him with the significant occasion she had planned, but she could still proceed. It is unique in her own manner. After some time, the physician exited the treatment room. The man is walking towards Amanda. He stated that it was nothing significant. His blood pressure decreased significantly due to weariness and dehydration, however. He is demonstrating significant progress in treatment. He will be released when he has recuperated slightly. Amanda had a surge of relief. She said that it was reassuring to hear that. The doctor halted gently upon meeting her. He inquired about the individual who was brought in, stating that he desired me to thank you on his behalf. It appears that you made significant efforts to assist. Amanda presented a modest, unassuming grin to him. She shook her head. It was the least I could do. She mumbled. Could she, as she began to go forward? The exit. Her body burdened by fatigue. Her shift had concluded, and it was very late. At midnight, her sole desire was to depart. Liam would be awaiting her at home. If he had likely fallen asleep by the contemplation of her son elicited a small glimmer of warmth to her otherwise weary intellect. Just prior to attaining the exit, Amanda halted, struck by a sudden notion, halting her progress. She turned back. She retrieved an item from her purse, distributed one of her taxi business cards. Approaching the nurse at the front desk, she extended the card gently over the desk. Smile. If he or any member of his family, if you require anything, please inform me. Amanda stated that I reside nearby and would be pleased. The nurse eager to help in any way she could. Accepted the card. The card. Her expression softening with it. Thank you. It is exceedingly kind of you. Ensure they receive this upon departure. Amanda proceeded to the hospital. She made her way to Lisa's house to pick up Liam. Tranquil streets provided a fleeting opportunity to contemplate. Yet her head was burdened with the occurrences of the evening resemble numerous others. Due to her working parents, she frequently depended on Lisa to observe Liam during her nocturnal hours transitions. Assured of his safety and nurtured as she transformed into she parked in the driveway and took a big breath. Exhale. Attempting to dispel her, Liam ran before experiencing tiredness. Upon her arrival, his expression, Amanda was unable to contain her excitement. She couldn't help but smile as she embraced him. Anxiety blocked her thoughts. Could perceive the extent of his gaze, anticipate his exuberant vitality for tomorrow. He refueled the vehicle while en route home. And he spoke endlessly about the amusement park, discussing its attractions, activities, and their costs. Amanda listened attentively, contemplating the enjoyment, her hands tightly grasping the more constricted wheel. She did not wish to diminish his contentment, although she saw the necessity of disclosure. The truth about the money she had earned. It was exceedingly difficult to save what had previously been helpful. The old gentleman at the hospital was unable to accompany him to the amusement park. As promised, the old gentleman would not accompany him to the amusement park tomorrow. As they approached home, her thoughts accelerated. She practiced her dialogue for Liam, endeavoring to articulate the appropriate terminology to express and elucidate all aspects without compromising his. She was unwilling to witness the joy his visage diminished. Yet she understood there was no method to circumvent it. Just as their residence arrived, Amanda observed flashing red lights. Upon seeing the blue lights approaching, her stomach dropped. Upon observing an ambulance stationed in front, the lights from her door illuminated harshly. As she made her way along the dimly lit street, she decelerated the vehicle and felt her pulse accelerate. Liam grasped her, sensing something amiss. Grasped firmly as they exited, his previous enthusiasm now supplanted by subdued perplexity. As they neared, Amanda observed physicians and emergency medical technicians awaiting near the ambulance if they had anticipated her. Then a well-attired gentleman positioned adjacent to the stretcher advanced to confront her. "Miss Amanda," the man remarked in a loving tone. "However, I am not joking, I am James, the gentleman in question. My father insisted that we come here this evening. He expressed his gratitude to you personally. Described your kindness earlier today. You readily assisted him in her time of need." Amanda cast a peek at the elderly man, who offered her a feeble smile as he expressed his gratitude to her with his gaze. Physicians and paramedics remained in proximity. They were ready to offer assistance should their presence become necessary. A measure to guarantee his protection. As they conveyed him back to James retrieved an item from his coat in the hospital and extended an envelope that my father desired to express his appreciation in a significant manner. "Please take this. It is a modest gesture. Thank you for your contributions." Amanda paused, her hands trembling as she opened the envelope, only to find a check inside, with a sum so substantial it required her breathless. She gazed at it in distress. "I couldn't bear to see what she was holding, so I didn't help him." She stated that she did not anticipate any reciprocation. Attempting to return the envelope to James, he carefully returned the envelope to her. "You didn't expect this, which is precisely why you deserve it. We intend to enhance both your life and your son's." Insignificant. The old guy encountered her gaze and nodded gently, his look kind and supportive, as if subtly prompting. Amanda gazed downward, prompting her acceptance, enveloping her fingers as they grazed its edges as though attempting to ascertain its authenticity. A combination of relief and incredulity enveloped. She nodded, her voice gentle yet firm. Thank you so much, I am speechless. James presented a little smile. There is no requirement for you to articulate anything, simply the elderly man smiled in acceptance. Appreciation is evident in his weary gaze. The physicians assisted him in returning to the ambulance departing, leaving Amanda with an instance of serene contemplation that evening as the ambulance departed, leaving silence in its wake. Amanda stood above the street. Yet for an instant, the burden of the evening descended into the benevolence she possessed. Provided without hesitation returned to her in a manner she could never achieve in vision for the inaugural time in a long period of hope replaced the eternal state. Despite the anxiety in her heart, the check in her hands represented more than just money, it was an opportunity. She could give Liam the life he deserved, see his dreams come true free from obstacles, and give him the childhood that every child deserves, imbued with warmth, joy, and opportunity. If this story touched you, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel as a way to show your support. Facilitates the dissemination of more inspiring things, such as this particular item. Thank you for seeing. I look forward to our next encounter. Videography.